all the gusto of Sophie Ellis-Bextor, we bring you the New Year's news. It's the Touring Cars December news update. Hello Sam, and Happy New Year to you, sir.
Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to you as well. We hope you had a brilliant Christmas.
And New Year. Already more energy on this show than there was on the New Year's Eve BBC.
Yeah, we didn't watch much of it, did we?
No, that's because of, for contractual reasons, ITV is king. Give me the hootenanny any time. Anyway, are you well? Have you had a nice Christmas break?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Got some bits and pieces done before Christmas, and have been basically waiting for some more touring car news.
Yep.
We're into the new year, which means we're approaching a new season. Obviously, that will be commencing in April. A couple of testing days in March, which I'm sure we'll get to eventually.
And Media Day.
And Media Day, and a little bit of news over the last month or so.
Yeah, it's been a fairly quiet December, as you'd imagine, what with Father Christmas sort of shadowing over everybody else. But there has been a few bits of news to bring you up to date with. Obviously, in our last one, we included a few December bits because of the day we recorded.
Yep.
The TBLs have been announced, so that has already been covered. So the first real bit of news to bring everybody back up to speed, as I'm sure you probably already know, is Chris Smiley, perhaps unsurprisingly, in fact very unsurprisingly, is back at Restart Racing. He'll be piloting one of those new Hyundais for next season. It's not a great shock, is it?
It's not a great shock, no. But I think with obviously the changes behind the scenes with the new car coming in for this season, then I think there's going to be enough for them to concentrate on. There are strong rumours about a certain other driver in Dan Lloyd who's trying to get a package together, and he's stated it would be with Restart Racing.
Yep.
But there is nothing on the table as of yet.
Nothing signed on the
confirmed.
table. Yeah, nothing signed, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see those two obviously back together. Were they at Hyundai at the same time, or did they swap?
I wish you would ask those sort of things.
They've both raced the Hyundai.
They've both raced Hyundai before. Obviously, Lloyd took 2 of his 3 wins in Hyundai.
Yeah.
And Smiley did have the Draper tools. I can't remember off the top of my head.
It was different.
I think they swapped.
Times.
I think they swapped.
Yeah, so do I. But having had both of them in a Hyundai before, it would make a good combination, especially bringing that new car to the grid for that team this season.
Yeah, obviously, if Lloyd doesn't make it, obviously we hope he can, but if he doesn't, there will be, you'd have thought, a couple of names lined up.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
You could literally just insert name here at this stage. I'm sure somebody on Facebook will be going, do you think Jason Plato might have one of them? So, we'll see how that transpires. But yeah, exciting news to Restart. Good to have them back on the grid. Looking forward to seeing what livery they bring, because if I'm being honest, I've not been impressed by a Hyundai livery so far. Since I've been in the sport. So it'd be nice to see what they can do. But yeah, be interesting to see what happens there. Then I suppose the move that almost broke the internet, certainly broke our brains, was DeLyon is not at Unlimited Motorsport next season. He is at WSR, of all places.
Absolutely mad.
Yeah.
That I don't think anyone had even thought about that rumour, let alone tried to concoct it on social media. No. And it came out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we saw a release video from WSR saying they were going to be announcing a driver, and we thought, who could this be?
I took screenshots of everybody wearing rings, because the guy in the video had a ring on, and I was convinced that was the announcement for Aidan Moffat. I was convinced. More on him later. But I was certainly not expecting DeLyon, and that's nothing to do with talent or anything like that. It's a hell of a move for someone so young and inexperienced in the sport. It's a hell of a statement from WSR.
It's a really out of character move for WSR as well. And for them to put that much trust and commitment in a driver like of DeLeon, who hasn't been in the sport very long, has risen fairly quickly.
He's done very well with the time he's been here, but
has come out of pretty much nowhere when he first came into the sport. It's a big statement of intent, and it's a statement of WSR looking towards the future rather than what they've done in recent years, or certainly the last 5 years or so, where they've brought on a more experienced driver into the team.
A safe pair of hands, as it were. Yeah, I mean, with DeLyon, there's been a lot of excitement around him since he first came into the sport. Obviously, I think he came through the Team Hard Scholarship Award and was, by all accounts, ridiculously...
Chucked in at the deep end as well at that point.
Ridiculously quick on that scheme, by all accounts. Chucked in the deep end and did pretty well. An accident in his first qualifying aside, which you can forgive. He has scored points in the series. He's scored top 10s in the series. So he's certainly one for the future. But as you say, this marks quite a bold step from WSR. But I suppose they would argue that to a degree they gave Hill that bold step.
Yeah.
And look where he is now.
Yeah.
Perhaps they see DeLyon as the next one. I think there probably is a future champion in there. Certainly a raw pace. Racecraft, we don't know as much because we don't see him fighting amongst the best at the front because of where he's been in the cars he's had. This is a real good opportunity now to see how he, how does he fight a Tom Ingram, a Colin Turkington, a
Just
Sutton,
to bear
etc.
in mind, at the start of last season, we weren't even sure whether De Leon was going to be on the grid.
No.
And he came right at that last moment with Unlimited Motorsport in that single Cooper that they ran for the whole season. And they did well for what we were expecting of that team. To get the backing that he's going to get from WSR now is going to be invaluable for the rest of his career.
Absolutely. It'll be very interesting to see whether Duckham's go across with him. I don't think they will.
No, nor do
I. But we'll be interested to see how that pans out. And of course, it does leave a spare seat at Unlimited Motorsport, who have got 2 licenses and, of course, announced Hall previously. What I will say for Dillion's move to WSR, it is great to see young drivers being progressed through into the big teams.
Yes.
That's what it's supposed to all be about. And we've seen for too long that money means that you get stuck at a certain level.
Yeah.
Really, the last driver to come through, as I say, if you look at Sutton and Hill of recent-ish years, they've come through. So is Ingram to a degree as well.
Yeah.
Although, obviously, the Speedworks was kind of bought out by, incorporated by Toyota. Then he was.
Yeah.
So, but you look at, I think of Sutton, I think of Hill as 2 examples of young kids who come through. Sutton in the MG to begin with, and then I can't remember even after the Subaru, but BMR, and then coming through to the top teams. It's nice to see DeLine given the chance. However, he's got to have a good season as well. The pressure is on for the moment. As soon as you sign for WSR, that pressure is on.
Yeah, it's going to be a baptism of fire. We don't 100% know how everything's going to work itself out as well, because I think our next announcement shows that Morgan, we know now, has gone away from the team. He's gone off to Virtue and joined up with the Hyundai boys of Tom Chilton and Tom Ingram.
That's a great move for him, by the way. That's a great move.
It is a really good move.
I think he struggled a bit.
It's a sideways move, but I think it's a sideways move in the right direction, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So obviously, there's not many steps up from WSR, and most are going to be step downs to sideways, as you quite rightly say. However, I don't think it ever really clicked for Morgan at WSR, if I'm being brutally honest. It always looked a bit lost. But missed a Saturday, but in the race just seemed to really struggle to get the car going.
I think he struggled in the BMW as a whole. He didn't do exceptionally well at Car Gods. I think he was much more comfortable in the front wheel drive car of the Mercedes, and that's exactly what he's going to step back into, being in Hyundai. So it could be the step that he needs.
Yeah, I think it's a really good step for him, and I think we'll see the Morgan of old coming into this season. As I say, just didn't get, even in the On the Limit documentary, just didn't really seem at home in any.
Quick question for you.
Yes.
Is he going to be a better teammate for Ingram than Chilton has been?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. I don't even need to think on that one. I
do you reckon that's part of the reason that Hyundai have gone for that sort of move?
100%. Look, let's be fair, and this is not to take away anything from Jake Hill whatsoever. Turkson had a massive hand in him winning the championship last year.
Yes, he did.
because he did what a teammate needs to do in race 1 and made sure that car was as wide as it could possibly be.
Yep.
And Ingram...
And it's something that he's had done for him numerous seasons
exactly
before.
And Ingram and Sutton did not have that this year. Yeah. And for Sutton, because Carriage was in it till so late that he wasn't going to be seen, whereas Ingram has potentially lost 2 championships now where he's not had a backer, where he's not, he's taken the fight to Hill and Sutton in different years, lost twice.
Yeah.
And you look at that and say he's part of that because he is taking a lone fight. And I think Morgan is better than Chilton, but not as good as Ingram, and therefore will be up the front more often than not, but not challenging Ingram outright. And I think that's probably where Hyundai want to be. I think it's a win-win for all drivers. Morgan will get his spark back, probably pick up a couple more podiums, maybe a few more wins, and Ingram will have that driver at the front who's a bit more capable of, helping him through the field and defending a bit better. Yeah,
so there's one more seat to fill at Virtue.
Yes.
Hyundai, which there's speculation around that. Could it well be Zelos from the end of last season? Obviously, he stepped in there and had a brilliant showing. And then there is that other Hyundai at Restart Racing, who the rumours suggest may well be Dan Lloyd. Indeed. But moving on to the biggest and... or the most thought-provoking news for me.
Weird things are happening at WSR this year, aren't they? So obviously, DeLyon announcement, and then as we understand it, is he is not WSR with Da. He's an outright WSR driver. Therefore,
effectively taking the Morgan role.
Exactly that, taking over the Morgan role. Turkton yet to be announced.
Yes, although Dick Bennett did say that 2 of the 3 drivers would be back for next season. Obviously, Hill's already been announced, so we're assuming that Turkington is going to fill that other role. Yeah, and
you feel with Turkington, if he wants to come back, he'll come back. It's as simple as that with somebody like Turkington. And then we got LKQ announcing that they've filed a partnership with WSR and they're becoming a main title sponsor with them.
Obviously, having been LKQ Eurocar Parts Starline Racing, however many add-ons you want, with Toyota last season, they had that satellite outfit, and it does look like that satellite outfit might have been wiped out.
Yes. Yeah.
And as a result of this move and this partnership with BMW. But there is a distinct difference between WSR with MB Motorsport laser tools, WSR Motorsport as in the main manufacturer team, and then also WSR with LKQ.
Yeah, and this is where the problems are coming, because they have said in their announcement that they will be having a 2-car team.
Yep.
Drivers which will be announced in due course. We'll get to that in a moment. So that's 2 LKQ cars.
Yep.
That's 1 Jake Hill car.
At the very least.
At the very least, if not more. And that's 1 WSR car with DeLine on. So DeLine has not been linked to this whatsoever in any of their press releases, nor has Jake Hill. So they are separate entities, which suggests that there is 1 more seat at WSR.
Yes.
And then 1 more seat at LKQ, and possibly 1 more seat with Jake Hill. So we could see up to 6 BMWs on the grid next season.
So we know the fact that BMW have gone for 4 TOCA licenses going into this season. Those LKQ licenses could well have been brought across from Toyota, producing effectively a 6-car lineup with BMWs for a WSR umbrella, basically.
Yeah.
Almost what we're seeing from Hyundai.
Yeah, so as I said before, TBO licenses don't really mean anything, because
no, they don't.
Quite often you'll see drivers help fund those. So Aidan Moffat has got a history of having licenses. There's been a lot of
and dragging a license around with him as well as the one that he races on.
Carl Bordy was another example of this in the past. He would hold on to licenses despite not being in the series. And lots of speculation that Moffat has helped hard in the past with licenses and whatnot. So it's quite possible that at least one of those Toyota 4 he funded and effectively owns and is therefore taken across with him. So I expect to see a minimum 4 BMWs.
Yep. Moffat
has been announced. Let's cut straight. Moffat's been announced as one of those drivers.
He has.
Came after the fact. Not surprised. He bought the LKQ to Toyota. He was taking it to BMW.
I'm really interested to see how that LKQ livery is going to look on a BMW next season. I'm not sure if it's in the very similar style. I'm not sure that it's going to suit a BMW as well.
No, I have seen, is it 5H Designs has mocked one up, which doesn't look at all like you'd expect it to look. It looks quite cool, but it doesn't look at all what you'd expect it to look like. Moffat has been announced, as I say, and obviously as the Moffat Skeptic Club to my right will announce, this is a big season for Moffat now, isn't it? A huge season. And actually, as a Moffat...
he has nowhere to hide.
As a Moffat fan, I agree with that. This really is a massive season for him.
He effectively has been given the prime machinery in the championship, having won the championship last season, having won the team's championship as well.
Yeah, if you're in any doubt how much they've won, go stand by one of their trucks at race day, because it's plastered down the side.
Exactly the car that you kind of want to be in.
Yeah.
We have seen him struggle in rear-wheel drive in the Infinity.
He improved drastically when Sutton got there.
He did, but I don't know how much that is Sutton dragging the car up and going, you need to do these little bits.
But he was going to have that with Turkington and Hill, don't forget, who are 2 elite drivers as well.
If they share all the data between
there will be a level of data sharing. There will be a level.
I think it could be key as to who his teammate could be.
Yes.
Now, there are many rumours swirling as to how many drivers will fill that single seat.
I think we'll see 6 drivers
so do I.
At BMW. I think we'll see 2, 3 teams of 2 is what I'll see.
And I think we've effectively got 4 of those 6 already. I think Turkington's a shoe-in. De Leon's there.
Moffat's there.
Moffat's going to be there, but who partners him, I'm not sure. I don't think Cook will come across.
No, I don't think so either.
Who's going to partner Hill? I don't know.
How much money do you need to bring if you've got MB Motorsport with laser tools one side and LKQ with Eurocar parts the other side? Do you need to bring a lesser budget?
The 2 drivers I would put into those seats off the top of my head are Andrew Watson and Bobby Thompson.
Andrew Watson's heavily linked with a move away from touring cars back to GTs.
But he is a Mark Blundell driver.
He is.
Which kind of fits.
Only if he wants to stay in the sport.
But we didn't call Moffat going with LKQ to BMW. So
Gamble's another name that is floating about as a possibility to come back to the sport. Obviously had some success with the BMW when he was a car god.
Took a win.
There is always speculation over people like Rob Huff, whether he'll stick at Toyota or twist. And I think someone with his ambition, if the offer was on the table, that's always a possibility. Obviously, looking at people like Michael Crease, Bobby Thompson, who are...
Yeah, I know.
They're
There's
about.
so many drivers that you can go straight in
Dexter Patterson could well be back in the sport in one capacity or another. There's so many drivers that, as you say, could be there. And for the record, I don't think Michael Crease will be at WSR, but he's, from his own socials, looking for a way back into the sport.
Yep.
Mikey Doble's not signed on the dotted line at PMR as of time of recording, as we understand it. So this is the problem with speculation. You can literally say anybody. Zelos hasn't signed anywhere yet. You'd expect it to be at Virtue,
and
but
then you don't forget there is still a ghost team out there.
Yes. Yes.
Which speculation is also, it's cooled slightly over the last month or so.
Don't see how they could be on the grid if One Motorsport are on the grid.
We'll see.
Obviously, we still heard nothing from One Motorsport in terms of their announcements for the season. They have got licenses. This ghost team of Vortex Racing, if they're not racing under the One Motorsport banner, which I don't believe they are, then I don't know how they get on the grid with the changes what we're expecting to happen with BMW
and with the licenses that are currently out there. Yeah. But Gal has said before, licenses may be available if you want to put a good offer on the table.
Yeah, but with the greatest respects, I don't think he'll see that as a good offer necessarily, because he's quite keen on having a small grid, as we've seen in the past. So, so that's effectively all the news. There's a lot to be announced. There's a lot to be excited about. We've got some real cracking drivers back on the grid already for next season. We've got some real sort of exciting seats still to fill. One question, Aaron Taylor-Smith's back at PMR. Do you think another team will look to woo him at the last minute, or have tried to woo him before he signed there? Because I'm thinking now, if I've got a top car, I think it's right to stay there because he's having such a good time there. By the way,
it wouldn't surprise me if someone tried to drag him away.
Yeah.
However, I think he knows loyalty.
Yeah.
And he knows the grass isn't always greener on the other side, which we've seen for Andrew Watson somewhat this season. And I think PMR have sold him almost a vision of this is going to be the last year of the Astra. We expect, due to regulations.
Yeah.
And there could be something much bigger on the table next season.
I tell you what.
Which we've already speculated about.
I've just thought this on my head though. If it is the last season of the Astra and there's a 2-year engine freeze, there's a logic in bringing forward a newer car sooner.
Yes, depending on the car. We'll see. Let us know your thoughts and feelings about who is going to end up where when the season finally gets round to Media Day in March.
Yep, obviously this is recorded on the 3rd of January, which means that we're almost guaranteed to have an announcement over the weekend or by the time this is out, because that's the way it works. So if that is the case, you're welcome.
I'm going to propose something now that I haven't actually told you about.
Okay.
I am aiming to do quite a substantial amount more of videos this year.
Okay.
And I think we can get 26 videos out this year.
For what?
Throughout the season. So we've got several sort of like podcasts on the back burner of what we could do. We'd love to hear your thoughts about any others that you might want us to
better start recording those, really,
set up and set forward. But ideally, I'd like an average of one every 2 weeks throughout this season, and we'll see how it goes.
One last thing of AOB, you have delivered me the trophy.
I have.
Which is great news for me.
Swap them over again for this season.
The Lego one is now out. I've got this as pride of place on my mantelpiece. I think you've got the nicer of the two, I have to say. This is slightly
cheap.
Well, they're both cheap. No expense spent, but it's slightly on a wonk as well, which you can probably see.
I also like how much it
rattles.
It rattles.
Yes, but it's there to remind you of like the old MG6 as it come down go over the curve or whatever. It's there to remind you of the days of the Lexus and stuff like that. It's it's there. And it's doing a job, but it's not great, and that's homage to British touring cars.
Oh dear. Do let us know your thoughts. We hope you had a happy Christmas and have a brilliant New Year. We will be back once again, if not later this month, then certainly at the end of the month with another update.
According to your schedule, we'll be back tomorrow by the sound of it.
And we will have plenty more content and videos for you this year. We're planning to go to a few of the races at the very least. We've already booked our Airbnb for Alton Park this year.
Which is good. That's our long trip this year, isn't it? Yep. Our long pilgrimage. That'd be good. Yeah, picturesque circuit. Looking forward to getting back there.
Looking to do the opening 3 rounds as well.
Yeah.
So kick it off with a bang, and hopefully we'll do some vlogs along with those and try and shake it up a bit more this year.
You're in complete charge of the videos.
Yeah.
I do the other bits. I do the writing and the other bits. You're in charge of this. So build it and they will come. Shout me and I'll be there. And until we are there, see you next time.
See you next time.